So here we go, lesson number 2. We are talking today about artist identity, and we are on July 24th, 2021. And then you are taking this course on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I'm gonna go back to make sure that if this is your first time joining, that my name is Ollie. I use the he or they pronouns. I'm a teacher at the Vancouver School Board, and I'm also a visual artist across Canada. You can email me at all times at ollie@creative.com. So if you have any questions or if you want to meet with me because you want help on your assignments, just send me a message. Again, because this is an inclusive space, I'm not providing specific hours because I know everyone has different schedules, may have kids at home or other things that you're doing. So send me a message and we can find time in our schedule so we can meet together. So we're gonna go back again this week. It's important that we really know what the core of our program is. It's always important to go back to why we're doing this. So again, participants will learn different strategies and ways to increase their visibility online and or offline as they will best prepare for the 2021 Vancouver Outsiders Art Festival. So again, we are looking at our learning outcomes. I'm not going to read them all again, but I'm going to go just A, B, and C. So we're looking at increasing our communication skills as artists, okay, in any way, shape, or form that you feel best for you. To have a greater knowledge on the role that social media plays in artistic promotion. If you choose not to do social media after, you don't have to, but we're looking at ways that you can use that knowledge in your own way offline, and to actually increase our abilities to use basic technological tools. All right, last week we explored images. So we explored our camera and our beautiful ring light provided by the CACV just for you. And today we are at my artist identity. So we're going to explore artistic biographies, artistic statements, and artist resumes. Our schedule today, we're having a maybe a little shorter theory than anticipated because we have a lot of writing and things to do, and you'll see why. So around till 11:45, I say that, but I talk a lot. So hopefully this is the theory that you'll have, okay, about like half an hour-ish. And then we're gonna go into a workshop from 11:45 till 12:30, and you can use the washroom or go have a drink whenever you want, because this is going to be a writing workshop today. But we are coming back as a group from 12:30 to 1. What we're going to do between 12:30 and 1, I will share right now on the recording, but it will not be recorded because this will require participation. Okay, so I will announce what we're doing for anybody joining us later or anybody watching this, so you can do this at home. But what we're doing from 12:30 to 1 will not be recorded with the participants. So our menu of the day. So we're going to start with a quick review of course number 1. We're going to look at the theory of what is an artistic statement, artist biography, artist resume. We're going to look at the steps to write an artist statement, because today you should be able to leave with your updated statement or a brand new statement if you don't have one. We're going to write it together during the workshop, and we're going to explore the assignments for next week. That's right, you have homework, but if you work in class properly and you don't talk with your peers, you'll be able to get it done on time and you won't have any homework and no detention. So materials for today: pen or pencil with paper, or colors, stickers, highlighters, anything that makes you feel happy, because happiness is, the best medicine ever. Okay, you've got to be happy. Or you can use a computer or a tablet if you want, or you can just listen to me and watch this later. So we're doing a little review now of like key elements that we've learned last week, just to make sure that we are on track. So last week we discovered this beautiful, beautiful ring light. I don't know if you saw me in the video. It's here. I brought it in Montreal, my new best friend. So the Muscata ring light. Oh, I wrote right light, but it's a right light as well, right? So it's the ring light. Plugs in with a USB cable. It comes with 2 different tripods. You see the ring light, and help take picture at home, will be beneficial for taking videos. Oh, maybe we're taking videos today, who knows? We have learned that taking your pictures using natural light when you can, when taking pictures with natural light, colors created on a surface by specific wavelengths being absorbed and others being reflected. So basically the natural light is your best friend when taking pictures. But if you cannot do that, you can use a triangle setup that we've talked about last week. So you can go back to the video and see how you can position yourself when taking pictures inside. And adding the grid mode will help you with the compositions of your pictures. Okay, so those are key elements from last week. So if you take pictures, you can also use your ring light, and you can use a similar setup actually when taking videos. And now we are jumping into artist identity. So what is the artist identity? So your art basically, and this is, I'm speaking from the heart, I'm not speaking from somebody who writes theories or anything, but this is like me as an artist. I find that my artist identity really reflects on my personal identity. My practice, my work is actually based on the theme of identity. Anything that I create comes from personal experiences, my care for the environment, my the importance of social justice. This is me as an artist, but I realize that like me as an artist really comes from my personal values. Sometimes I paint because it calms me down, but also like I find that part of my identity sometimes is that I'm nervous, and like I use art as a way to relax. So this really, your art basically is shaped from who you are, as an extension of yourself. If you went to art school basically to learn specific techniques, it is still your identity. Your going through art school still had an impact on who you are as a person. So to say that like, you know, you don't necessarily have a purpose in your art, but then it's still an extension of yourself. No matter what you do, your art comes from a personal experience. So some of the factors that can influence your personal identity, but that can reflect into your art, are your past, your entourage, so basically like people that are around you, your background, such as ethnicity, race and culture, your gender identity, your sexual orientation. It can be media and the way you perceive media or how media affect you, your personal interest, life and experiences. It can be your personality and appearance. It can be your life priorities, your purpose, and there's way more. So this is what I narrow down to what I find like things that have impacted my work in my art and how they relate to my personal identity. So having this in mind, there's going to be elements from your artist identity and your personal identity that are going to be reflected in different documents and in different things that you're going to write or speak about or record as part of the um, Outsiders Arts Festival, but also something that is going to help you in different aspects of your career. So there's three main documents or texts that we're going to talk about today. There's definitely more things that galleries can ask of you, but those things are the three that are the most important. So we're looking at an artist statement, an artist biography, and an artist resume. So these are three different things and are required for three different reasons when submitting your work or when being curated. And this, when I talk about artist statement, artist biography, artist resume, this works for any type of work. So if you're a musician, if you're an artist, a visual artist, a photographer, these things will be required of you at some point. Maybe some in some field more than another, but it's always good. It's always good practice to have these documents updated and with you to give to curators, gallery spaces, festivals. We're going to start with the artist statement, and this is the one that we're going to actually be focusing on the most today. Why this one of all the others? I'm going to tell you why after, but this is one that will actually be needed the most in order to build up the next steps of our projects here for the Vancouver Outsiders Arts Festival. So an artist statement, this isn't about you at all. So if you thought like, oh, my artist statement is the story of my life, that's not it. Basically, an artist statement is about the art itself. Okay, so it gives the viewer an understanding of your practice. It communicates your story to the audience, but here not your story as your personal story, but the story of your art, the story of your song, the story of your latest album, the story behind a painting. So it's not about your exhibition history at all. So of course, the story of your art, the story of your music can have had an influence on your actual life, because we saw in the slide before that your artist identity is highly connected to your personal identity. Okay, but it's really more about like what is carried through the piece. This statement is always written at the first person. So the first person is when you speak with the I. So I created this piece because it reminds me of how the ocean health is decreasing. I've used blues with the tints of browns because like the brown show that the water is getting polluted. It's not about you as an artist painting the piece, but about like what you feel about the piece. So basically, it's used as a substitute for yourself when you're not being able to present or tell the audience what practice is about or what your practice is about, basically. So it's like your substitute teacher. You're a teacher, you can come to class. So this is what you give to the substitute teacher so they can read the story about. We talked earlier about like galleries and specific galleries in the Vancouver area where people can sell the art for you. Having an artist statement to give to a gallery person when you're not there, they can explain the person what your art is about. And most of the times, if you're looking at art sales, a lot of people connect with the statement, connect with the artist. If you went to, I don't know, McGill University for art, or you went for UBC, it may not be the thing that will connect with your audience, but your artist statement will. And you always make sure to try to keep it short. So about 150 words is where you want to be at. You don't want people to start, being on their phone and be like, I'm gonna go on Snapchat because this is getting way too long. Okay, people these days, everyone have shorter attention span. You need to make sure that this is concise, ready to go. Okay. So an artist statement, okay, when you look at your artist statement, those are some of like questions or things that you can have in mind. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to like how to brainstorm for it after. But this is kind of like more questions or things that you need to reflect upon. So for example, why you've created the work and its history, your overall vision for a concept for a collection or a concept for your album or the photography that you want to do. What do you expect your audience and how they will react? It's important. You may create something that people will tear and will have tears. They'll be sad. But like, okay, so why do you want them to go there? Or are you making sure that there's like some of comfort or reconciliation in the end? Like, what do you want it to be? Do you want your audience to feel super happy, and why? So basically your artistic statement must have a tone that reflects that. So if you want like happy, like this is so fun, and then you write like something that's super melancholic as an artist statement, as a tone, it may not reflect who you are. So having like the audience reaction in mind really will help you define the tone. Okay. So how your current work can relate to your previous work, where your work fits with the current contemporary art or music, how your work fits with the history of your art practice. There's sources and inspiration for your images. So how this work fits into a series of a longer body of work, how a certain technique is important to the work, or your philosophy of art making or of the work's origin. This is not something you have to do for all artist statement, all of these things. But maybe you can pick one or two that really apply to you, resonate with you, because the whole point of these things is to bring you to a brainstorming session for yourself to like where you want to start. Sometimes you can be an emerging artist and you don't have over half of these statements, but your vision itself can work, right? Like why you've created the work, what do you want your audience to do? Okay, this is plenty enough to write 150 words. So having a good artist statement, it doesn't matter how long you've done art for. And actually, you're having a good artist statement. Often, if you don't have much to write about in your biography, or if you feel you don't have much to write about with your biography, it can be a good substitute or add on to your biography when you apply as an emerging artist. So now it's already time to get a pencil and paper. So everybody, I know this is going to be recorded, so we're not sharing together. We're actually starting to do a little exercise together, and everyone watching at home, on YouTube, everywhere you're watching, this is the one activity that we will do together. For the participants in the course, we will actually go back together and like add on to this activity in a small group where you'll be able to talk about it. But right now it's actually going to give you a little time to like reflect and not listen to me for 3 minutes. Okay. So if you don't have a pencil and paper, you have about like 30 seconds. So now we are going to work on a brainstorm for an artist statement. There's different ways that you can brainstorm for an artist statement. We're going to do one exercise together. Okay, the other exercises will be showed as an example after, something that you can do at home or during the workshop. So what is the intent and purpose of your art are things that we can think about when you do a brainstorm. What does it say about you as an artist? What keeps you motivated every day? What is your artist story? What questions are you often asked about your work? And who is your audience? So those are the key kind of questions that you can have in mind when you do a brainstorm, okay? But this isn't where we're going, okay? So this is really like, as you're getting your pen and pencil, I wanted to make sure I was talking about something so people are like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the exercise, gotta run and get my pencil. But you can apply every single activities that we're about to do, and the one I'm gonna use as an example, to one of these questions. You can repeat the same activity with every single of these questions to make sure that like you're getting as much information as possible. So this is our first artist statement brainstorm activity. So in 3 minutes, not more, just 3. Maybe you'll be able to write 2 things. Maybe you're going to write nothing. Maybe you're going to write 10 things. We're just doing a small 3-minute activity, and there'll be some fun music for you. You're going to write out a list of adjectives that describe your work. You have to be spontaneous and don't overthink. And you have to work from the heart. I know it's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot to work from the heart, but this is not about others. Your art is about you. You're all incredible artists. How would you describe your words using adjectives? You can do doodles, you can add words, just don't worry. If it's not an adjective, it's not an adjective. You know, I'm not the best with grammar. So if you write a noun, it's totally fine as well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, and this will be recorded, do this at home as well. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, the time of one song, okay, that is a good song for meditation and work, songs that I use with my students at school, okay, to write out as many adjectives as possible. And then I'm going to give you other examples of things that you can do to brainstorm for an artistic statement. And here we go. All right, well, this is coming to the end of the 3 minutes. Actually, I hope you enjoyed the song. The artist, Jared Nicklin, actually allowed me to use his recording for this session. So if you like Jared, go follow him. Other brainstorm ideas. So I hope that you were able to write a few things today during the 3 minutes about your work. But those are the little things that you can do. You can actually do it after together, or you can do it at home or with a friend. So something that actually works really well for me is when I talk to a peer about your art or record yourself speaking about your art. Actually, when you talk to a friend and the way you describe your art to a friend is sometimes the best way to find ideas for your artistic statement because it forces you to formulate things, but it also forces you to formulate things in ways that um, would sound natural or come across natural or be a little simple. Like not simple in the sense that it's negative, but like sometimes like you tend whenever we write things for art, you're like, oh, I'm going to use all these crazy fancy words and I'm gonna go all out. Does it look fancy enough? Does good enough? Some you as yourself are good enough. Okay, you're selling yourself. You're not selling an updated version of yourself that you'll feel you can't keep up with. Okay, so speaking with a friend is, but a friend that you feel super comfortable with is a great way to brainstorm for an artistic statement. So you can look at your work or listen to your work. I don't know if you've ever done this, but like sometimes when I create art shows and I'm like, okay, I'm doing my paintings is great, and I put it away. But then I actually take all my pieces and I put them in a living room or line them up somewhere, and I'm just like, oh, like how do they fit together? How would I like analyze them? Sometimes you can compare the similarities and differences, your style and their meaning with fresh eyes. Sometimes when you create something, you're so into something that you're kind of like in this like narrow space, not intentionally, but you get so focused. But taking a step back after a few days or like looking back at your work through different eyes really help. How would you describe your work if you were to switch them up or change the order and then like you see the color schemes being different, or you listen to your album in a different angle, or from beginning to the end, or end to the beginning, or you skip song, and then like what do the songs have in common? What type of melodies? Think about the emotions. Okay, brainstorm the emotion that you feel when you see your work. And something that works really well too is a mind map. How are everything related? We're all artists here, or like if you're not an artist and you're watching this, well, enjoy. You're still an artist at heart. You're still an artist. Anybody can be an artist, but you can draw and you can do doodles. You can add colors. Like how, like sometimes just using color schemes work really well. It works for me. That's my number one. Is I love mind maps. I don't know what it is. I like to draw the arrows, and I'm still like abstract painting my way through it, and it still feels like me, but like there's some deeper meaning. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the aha moment. So your considerations when writing an artist statement. So basically, who is your audience, and will it be used for? So basically, the tone that you choose for your statement will depend on the factors above. So basically, if you're I recently sent an artist statement slash biography for not the same, but I kind of like combine both for a local magazine. And I know that the viewers, like the readers of this magazine, are casual readers in coffee shops. So I made sure that it was humorous, that it was funny. So I kept my same core of who I am as I'm an artist, but I kind of twisted it in a way that's entertaining. And they're like, who's this artist? Like, am I like, and but sometimes if I was to send the same statement for like a really fancy show, and then it's very academic and very selective in the statement, maybe like I'm gonna switch it up and keep the core, but kind of like make it more formal. So you can have a core of an artist statement, and you can whenever applications that you do, you can always modify it to make it fit to your target audience. Okay, so here's finally the structure of an artist statement. So this is not necessarily like a structure that everyone would use. This is kind of like more what I would do according to different examples. I can send you a list of different examples. Maybe this won't work for you, but this was the most simple to me. So basically, there's three parts, okay? And it's always like I always tell even my students in grade 5, the like the 5 W's. So like who, what, where, when, how. Okay, this is what you have. This is what you have to keep in mind. But if you were to structure it, Okay, and that I always call it the give me five. So always think about your hand. Okay, well, like who, what, where, when, how. So this is like your your best friend. So your part one, I would say it's a general introduction. That's something that anybody can do. Okay, no matter how experienced you are, you can be Monet, or you can be, I don't know, my sister actually, who is not an artist but has a great child, can do one if she does a painting. So basically state what medium you work in. Something that's actually the one thing that the most people forget to write about. I'm Ollie, I'm a painter. It's like, oh, I do like these great abstract. Okay, but you can do abstract photography, you can do abstract. Just stating what you do is the number one thing to do. And incorporate the what and the why of your work. So why did you do this? And what is it? As plain as simple. Using your emotions, using the brainstorming, using the vocabulary that you've selected, the adjectives that you've selected, then you put them together. You use like, oh, I've done this gorgeous abstract. I do gorgeous abstract, or I do, I think of imaginative stories, and then I paint what's from my imagination and try to make it as realistic as possible. So you can add those adjectives to make it a little more lengthy. So here, the part one, if you're an emerging artist who's never done this, with the adjectives, you can really like add to the core of that. The part two, it's more like, I would say, kind of like the optional route. So you can pick things in this one, and this isn't for everybody, but for most people, if you're starting, pick what works for you. Okay, so basically describe the materials, techniques, and forms you use in the work. You can briefly mention your artistic influences. This isn't something that I would actually recommend an artistic statement. Most people don't recommend it, but if you are starting and then you're looking for content, this is a great way to start, to have your 150 word. But once you have enough experience, that's something I would totally pull out. It's not necessary there. Okay, so you can write about your art in a general or specific work. So what makes your work unique? What excites you about your work? How does your current work relate to your previous work? How your work fits into a group exhibition or a series of projects you have done. Right now, you're all working towards a common goal. You're all 16 different incredible artists. What puts you together right now is that you're doing the Vancouver Outsiders Film Festival. So basically here, if you were to write your first artist statement, here it would be like, how does your work fit into the theme of the festival? Okay, so this is all something that you can do, okay, for your artist statement. If it's your first artist statement, if it's your second, if you've done one before, how do you modify that to make it work? So, oh, right now you're all in a group exhibition or a group show. How is your work related to the theme of being an outsider? Can be part of your artist statement for the festival. Okay, and your part three is basically conclusion. So go back to the main points in the statement, and in one sentence, what would you want your reader, okay, to remember you as? Okay, an incredible singer, the new Castafiore, move over Mariah Carey, I have arrived. Like something that's like can be catchy or funny according to like where you are. But this here, you're very lucky. The Vancouver Outsider Art Festival, we're building something as a group. We're inclusive, we're positive. So don't overthink it. Just like have fun at your first draft at this. Okay. So reviewing, it's always good to review. So did I include my medium, my overall vision, the reason behind the creation of my work? You see, MT, I should have reviewed my work again. Sorry. My medium, artistic process, technique, influences. And again, those are optional things. But here again, can be your current contemporary art practice or your previous projects, if that's applicable. If not, you know what, you don't have to, right? You can keep the same one every time, it's totally fine. So here, there's some examples. I'll read one out of the two, but I won't read both, but you'll have the great options to look at this later and pause it and read it. Okay, so I'm going to read number 2. I think of my installations. Okay, we already know right away that person does installations. It's right there. We know they're not a singer. They know they're not doing necessarily only paintings, okay? So think of my installation as unfinished inventories of fragments, object drawing, paintings, photographs, and other inventions. They are improvisational sites in which the constructed and the ready-made are used to question our making of the world through the language and knowledge. My arrangements are schematic, inventing the viewer to move into a space of speculation. I rely on our desires for beauty, poetic, and seduction. So you see, even like if we read the whole thing, which I won't read because I don't want to take all your time with this, already there's nothing about your bio. There's nothing about your experience. It's all about that who you are. I don't know if this is the first installation of that person. I don't know if they've done 100, okay? So right now, no matter who you are, you can have an amazing artist statement, no matter what level that you are. And if we look at the conclusion, this project has always been grounded in pleasure and aesthetics. So again, the last thing that I hear or that I see or read are pleasure and aesthetics. Okay, we've seen these words, these fancy words that I can't pronounce before, right? So they're great, they're there. So like I leave, okay, so I know that this person has installations that brings pleasure and aesthetics. Right there, beginning and end, tell me exactly who that person is. And when I have the core, what's in the sandwich adds on to these elements that it's an installation that has great aesthetics. Okay. So why a focus on artistic statement in this course? Okay, so why have I rambled for the last half an hour on this? So this will be a great help when working on your videos with Vancouver Outsiders Arts Festival. Spending time focusing on artist identity will help with the creation of websites and of portfolios. Because as of next week, I'm going to tell you about that you have a choice of a personal project of something that you want to develop at your own pace. So there's no stress, only your own personal goals. So when you're going to be creating your activities or your promotional pamphlets or promotional website for the festival and something you can use after, okay? Being who you are, your artist identity has to be reflected in these projects. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're yourself when you're starting an Instagram. It's kind of part of your brand. And I'm saying brand here because I don't want it within brackets because I don't want it to look at brand in a way that we're looking here in consumer and everything, but more in your brand as like your artist identity. So people really know who you are when they look at your page. They see your Instagram, they're like, oh, that's unique. They see your website, oh, this is a poet for sure. You know, like this, you can see who you are. If you create a pamphlet, if you don't want to do anything online because you don't want to, you know, your pamphlet, what colors are you using? Are your colors reflecting your personality, for example? Okay. Thinking about your vision can support a type of content you would like to use for social media. Okay. If you're a painter and you never post any pictures of your paintings, maybe you're not attracting the right people. Okay. Maybe you're not attracting the right clientele. You know, they'll be like, well, you're a painter, but all I see is you in a garden. Maybe a picture of you in a garden in your professional account maybe is not the right thing to do if you want to attract like-minded people. Okay. This can be used at all times during and after the festival to submit work to other events, galleries, and etc. So this right now is your best friend to go like when you leave the festival and you go on to other shows and other artistic endeavors, you have that ready. Okay. You can already update your social media profile. So for example, if you're in LinkedIn, as an example, I'm on LinkedIn and you create this today already, you use your artist statement as your description for any social media. And today, if you get it done today, you have a brand new profile description. Okay. So now I'm not going to do exactly as much with artist biography because the artist biography is not something that is as complex in a creation. It is obviously a body of work. I'm going to tell you what it is and how it's different than an artist statement, but really your artist statement is going to help you build your identity as part of the festival. The artist biography is something that a lot of galleries and spaces will require, but if you're an emerging artist, having an artist statement, as you can see, you can have a really amazing one that can be used at any level and that can be added on to your biography if you don't have as much experience, okay? So the artist biography, this is the one that's about you, yes, you, and not your art, Okay, so it's similar to personal biography for a resume, but it's based on your art career. This one is written at a third person, so they, she, or he, or any pronouns that you use. Okay, so this one, the artistic statement was like, I painted this because it means this one is, this is the biography of Ollie. Ollie is originally from Montreal, and he has moved to Vancouver in 2006, where he started working at a Vancouver school board. So you are stepping away from who you are about somebody else. Okay, it's got to explain who you are as an artist. You can have highlights of your achievements. Okay, it connects to how your life events have influenced your work. Okay, so for example, like for many years, I've had a passion for fighting against climate change. Therefore, I've been part of many protests and many organizations to help save the ocean. Therefore, I've decided to, or not I, sorry, see, I made a mistake. It's Ollie has decided to make um, paintings based on ocean health. Okay. So you see even this right there, even if you don't have any gallery experiences, your personal life experiences can take on for your biography. Okay, so like really as an emerging artist, focus on this. So it includes information about you. So where you're from, where you're located, what is your education. You don't have to do all of this, okay? But sometimes if you don't have a background in the arts, you can talk about like how your background, let's say in, I don't know, accounting influence your art. You never know, right? Maybe this is through helping art organization do their taxes that you found a passion for the art. So maybe there's connections that you can use, okay? Try to stay current to what you're currently working on. This isn't a novel about you. I'm sure every one of you are so, and I know, not sure, I know that you're so incredible that I can write books about each and every one of you and they will be bestsellers. But this is still a small document. It's still something that like next to your piece of work, let's say for the festival, your biography will be there, right? So you cannot put a novel on the wall, okay? You need to make sure that it fits next to your artist statement that reflects your piece that you're showing, okay? So you can mention highlights in your career, okay? So for example, if you've done one specific show that was meaningful, of course, okay? Like things that like, if you've done many events or many concerts, if you've done things like Raw Vancouver, if you're at the Pacific Arts Market, if you've done the Outsiders Festival before, to things like selling your piece, being, I don't know, anywhere, anything that you've done, you can totally add it in, but it's not like every single time you've done something, okay? It's like the highlights. It should be longer than your statement. So if you're looking at your artist statement, we were looking earlier at around at the 150 words. Okay, some artist statement are 80 words, so don't stress out with the length. But I would say make sure that your biography is a little bit longer. Okay, so 150 to 150 words is usually the average artist biography. More than that, it becomes too long, and you just like people get bored. Okay. Um, if I play again solitaire on my phone instead of reading, it's because it's become too much. Okay, I want to know, bing bang boom, this is great. Okay. And this is a living document. Same for your artist statement. It is not once it's done, it's done. In a year from now, your careers will all evolve. Right now, your biography will include was a participant at a Vancouver Outsiders Art Festival, but maybe next year you will have done different accomplishments. For sure, they will not be as great as working with us, but if you decide to give us the boot for something more important, we will be super excited for you. But please consider us all the time. So this is always a living document. It changes all the time. So here's some things that, again, you can do the same similar brainstorming that in the activities that we've done before, but these are some of the things that like I would focus on with your artist biography. So collect and organize any courses you've completed, okay? Don't worry about the years that you started and ended, okay? So you can write down keywords that would best describe your influences. So here you can go more about the influence. Okay, like you can add more. You like have been super influenced by Rio Pell, for example. You can write down what you do as an artist. Write down some key achievements you've had so far in your art career. the name and where you live, where you typically work from. So I usually work from my shed in the backyard. This is what I love to do because I like the sound of crickets. That's great, okay? And what style or mediums that you work in. So your suggested structure for this one has more, this is more like an actual like full-on paragraph, okay? More the other one can be broken down, but this one I would say like keep it to just one paragraph, because if you have more elements that you have, for example, you haven't done as many shows, maybe you want to add on more about what you do as an artist. So maybe here the sections can change and you can still have a 150 to 150 words document, okay, that will look super professional, okay, but like you can skip some lines, right? So work around it. So your name and where you live and where you typically work from. So for example, my name is Ollie, I'm from Montreal, but I work from Vancouver. What do you do as an artist? I'm a painter. Those keywords that describe your influences, the art styles, the people, the places, the styles or mediums that you work in, the courses you've completed. There's some key achievements you've had in your so far in your art career, and what you're currently doing, presenting, or showcasing. That's it. Nothing more than this. Okay. You can. That's like you can. Not necessarily recommended, but you can. Add a picture. If a picture is important to your brand, so some of you who want to learn more into branding as an artist, okay, you can add a picture, but it's not necessary. Most people don't have a picture in their bio, okay? This isn't something that is current practice, but it can happen that like some people, if they have a very specific image that they use, because or a specific logo that they use, some people add one. So it's not a no, but it's not something that you have to do. You can provide links of showcases. So for example, if you're doing an online bio and this is part of your website, then you can click add links to previous things that you've done. You can provide where to purchase your work or add links of articles about you or your exhibition. So those are things that you can do at the end. But let's say for the Outsiders Festival, whenever you provide a biography for your work, it won't be necessary. It will be on the wall, right? So people can click a direct link. But this is something you can do, let's say, if you add this bio to a website, let's say that you've built as part of your personal project. And now the last one is a resume, which I'm going to leave here and show you a document because I didn't write as much on this one. I just want to show you what it looks like. And I'm going to add this document in the chat. Okay, so I would keep a resume here, a simple artist resume onto one page. This isn't something that you'll need for the Vancouver Outsiders Arts Festival, but I just wanted to show you how both documents, your artist statement and your artist biography, are connected to an artist resume if this is something that you wish to pursue. So here you can write your name, you can add a picture if you want, you don't have to. Here you add a resume. So like here, like a short description of who you are, where you're from. It can be taken from your artist statement as well. And then here, your experience, okay? You see how there's more space for your experience than your exhibition. It's okay, right? You don't have to have a list of like 75 exhibition to put. You can go on to a second page, and if you want to list everything, that's up to you. But focus more on your experience as an artist, okay? Of what you do, okay? Like if you are an artist at home, like really focus on what makes you unique as an artist, okay? The exhibitions add on to it. But again, if you're an emerging artist, there's so much that you can write about yourself alone, okay? Your contacts, this would be the difference with something that is new from, like an artist statement or biography. There's no contact info. So this is where you could provide contact info. You can add your social media if you have social media. You can write skills of what you do as an artist. Okay, for me, we could say like educator, videographer, art, like painter. Okay, and then your education here, even if it's not related to the arts. Don't forget, and this is the key thing, your personal identity is connected to your artist's identity. So don't neglect who you are, especially when you're starting. Okay, your art is part of you. Okay, so there might be somebody that will connect with the fact that you are a pilot and that your pilot would turn into the art, and your story will touch somebody, right? So it doesn't matter, like, don't neglect who you are. And that's the one thing, that's why I talked about your personal identity. Your journey, you may be the inspiration for somebody else's journey. So don't think that it has nothing to do with the arts. Okay, everything has to do with the arts because it's an extension of you. All right, so this is now the time for the workshop. We're going to keep this document going though, because I'm going to just record the rest of this, but we're going to go back to our one-on-one with the group after, but just to make sure that you have all the information recorded. There we go. So our workshop. So we're going to continue brainstorming for artistic statement, and we're going to try to write today a first draft of our statement, or first few lines of our statement. And I can see it's already 12, so we'll be around 12:30. I'm going to give you more time, a little bit more time, 12:35. We're going to go back in the group. Extension. So this is only for those who have an artistic statement. If you are, say, I have the best artistic statement ever, I'm keeping it. That's great. Amazing. So you can write or update your artistic biography, or you can create an artistic resume. I can send you more articles if it's something that you want to do. But you also have homework. So you can already start your homework for next week, because I know nobody's done the homework. So this is something you can do in the workshop as well. So we're going to be sharing, and you have a homework. So for next week, okay, make sure that you complete your artistic statement. Your artistic statement is 150 words. You will need your artistic statement in order to present at the festival, in order to create your final video, in order to create your personal project. So basically, doing it now means it's less work for later. It's chunking it down, okay? And I'm going to ask you, because last week I've asked you to take some images, some pictures that I would love to see. But now you're going to practice doing one short video, okay? Your first ever video, but no editing. We're just practicing how to do a video the same way we practiced on how to do pictures last week, okay? So basically, I want you to tell me about your artistic statement in a short video, okay? If done well, if you are happy with the result, you can keep that artistic statement as part of, or an integral part of, your video you're going to be creating for the festival. So again, you already will have a segment done. So we just have to add on a segment next week and the week after, and your video is already done. We're just going to focus on how to edit it together in the second to last session. Okay, but for next week, there's no editing. You just try filming it, and you can try using your amazing ring light to see if the ring light works for you. So how to take a video. This is from the slides from last week, because it's exactly the same thing that you do, then taking a picture. So if you have an iPhone, you're going to find this beautiful camera button, or you're going to swipe left on the iPhone lock screen. And the iPhone is going to take you automatically to photo, if you've seen for what we've done last week. But if you swipe left one time, you're going to be in the video option. So you're going to be able to record your video. So once again, you can zoom in or zoom out. You don't need to, because you have your beautiful ring light, and then you can sit where it's, because here's that beautiful, I don't know if you can still see me or just recording, but you have this beautiful stand here for your phone, that you can put it in there and put it in selfie mode, so you can look at yourself while recording. And then you tap the shutter button once. It's going to start recording, and you're going to see there's going to be a little countdown. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means it's recording. Even if there's a gap before your recording, if you're like take the time to sit down, it's completely fine. There's no editing. We're taking a first cut. If you know how to edit, go ahead, but this isn't an expectation right now, okay? And then when your recording is done, you tap again the same button, and the recording will be done. And your video, just like your pictures, will be in your camera roll. If you're on Android, it's the exact same thing, but instead of taking the picture mode, you're going to start a camera app, and you're going to choose the video mode. You're going to touch the shutter icon to start recording, then tap again to end your recording. So our next workshop will be on August 7th, 2021. We are going to explore artistic portfolios, websites, pamphlets, social media, and other promotional material. And this is when I will give you your final assignment that you'll have a month to complete. So I'm going to tell you basically overall what your assignment will be, but I'm not assigning it to you till next week. So you can start brainstorming, but when I present to you all the options, you may have a greater idea. But one of your assignments will be to explore or develop one promotional item that you can use to promote your work for when there's the audience at the Vancouver Outsiders Arts Festival, that they can follow you or learn more about your work. So it can be something as simple as, my goal is to create an Instagram account and to start building a network. Or it can be, I want to learn how to build a website. Or it can be, I want to build a pamphlet. So it is up to what you feel you're comfortable with, and or something that you feel that you're lacking skills in that you would like to develop. So this is not a cookie cutter. This is a what works for you in your own personal growth. And that's it. And the second assignment will be your video that we're all going to be doing together. So as of today, we're already starting to build this, and until at the very end of all workshops, you should be able to be ready for the festival. And that's it for me for the recording part. So I'm signing off. It was Ollie, live from Montreal, and I will be again recorded in 2 weeks.